First, let me apologize for this Ghana video. It was my mistake for not doing my research to confirm what exactly the video was really about. And so now that I have learned that it was a tragedy caused by illegal mining operations of Chinese nationals in Ghana, and the reason why the video happened in the first place was because these workers caused, tragedy. So the word harassed, as some of you said, those Chinese men literally created an explosion that killed a bunch of people in that place in Ghana. The residents took those men to the police after. After learning about the story, like I said, harass is definitely not the right word to use, and these men are at fault here, so that's definitely, they have the right to be angry. Just to mention here, I do have a very real understanding of what the CCP is doing in Africa. My first video on this channel, although it went by a different name back then, was about the cobalt situation in Democratic Republic of Congo, how the CCP has been exploiting children, these illegal mines there for the sake of getting material for the EV batteries. So it's a very tragic thing what's been happening to the continent of Africa and what China's been doing if in different countries in Africa. Now, with that being said,
中国人不是好欺负的，我告诉你们啊，犯我中华者，虽远必诛。俺们 Chinese， 中国人不怕惹事，也不怕事。I'm a Chinese. China passport.
The reason I want to make this video is because it seems like there is a bit of controversy, right? My original video, I was highlighting the fact that I thought nobody would take this fake scenario seriously. The fact that you pull out your passport in Cuba or somewhere in Latin America, it seems, how out of touch it was.
不要动手啊 ！I'm Chinese, China passport. 给我滚！
And just before we continue, a reminder to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Many of you are watching our videos, but you haven't clicked subscribe yet. So make sure to definitely click the subscribe button if you like our content, and let's continue. There's no sense of reality to them, right? And so my updated video on that was trying to portray the fact that, look, if these real situations happened, you don't see anybody actually pulling out the passport. So the whole purpose of it was to make fun of that, which is to say that this propaganda ain't working. Now, some of the comments on the original video I thought was super funny, so I'll read it to you. The first one is, the power of Winnie the Pooh compels you. This one says, I didn't expect the CCP to be making Mafia City ads. Yeah, it's like the level 1 thug versus a level 50, I guess this case, the CCP officer. You have the CCP getting robbed? Just say no. Your robber can't legally take your possessions without your consent. The funniest part about this, they actually had to pay the actors to rob them. Now, a bit of context here, right? So this guy, he has a Bilibili account called Watson and Holmes. Now, Bilibili is basically like YouTube for China. So that's, John Watson and Sherlock Holmes. So he had this channel, but it seems like he's deleted it since this video has been published. So I can't find the original channel anymore. But the question is, who believed this stuff? Well, apparently people in China do. Those that don't get to travel outside of China, those that genuinely believe in the lies of the CCP, they think that these videos demonstrate a reality. But everybody that holds a Chinese passport knows that the Chinese passport is one of the worst passports in the world. And yes, it is propaganda. Why? Well, because Chinese movies, state-sponsored these movies, they're called main melody movies, which basically fits the tone of the propaganda of the day, actually has a real plot point. talking about this, right? So here is a snippet from Wolf Warrior 2.
啊，他们会收留我们的，我们是中国人。
And we cannot kill the Chinese! China is a permanent member of the UN Security Council.
Okay, just so we know what's happening here, in this part of the movie, he basically, they have to cross this civil war place that they're fighting on two sides, and he puts the Chinese flag up and he tells them drive. And then because they now see that there's a Chinese flag, they're like, oh, it's the Chinese, you have to stop shooting. And they go across the battlefield like that, just like that. That's how they want you to believe it. So this famous saying of Wu Jing, the actor who plays this special force soldier in Wolf Warrior 2, he says that the Chinese passport, although the passport holder, can't go to every country around the world, but no matter where they are around the world, they will be safely returned by their country because China will come to the rescue. Well, is that true?
我现在在这个机场里，因为我的护照弄丢了，所以我哪儿都去不了。我今晚只能睡在机场里，然后机场就外面是根本出不去的。然后我打使馆电话呢，怎么打都打不通，所以我希望马来西亚的这个中国大使馆看到，能回一下我信息好吗？能稍微接个电话好吗？我现在真的非常需要帮助，因为我自己真的是回不了国。
And he basically couldn't get in touch with the local embassy of China, and no matter how hard he tried. So he made a video trying to get publicity on this issue so that he can be helped. And before we continue, here's a sponsor segment from Puritang.
If there is one supplement you want to get incorporated into your diet, it's a good omega-3 supplement. It's the best all-around defender for your health. It reduces inflammation, cholesterol, improves eyesight, and reduces risk for heart problems, as well as helps with joint pain, among other benefits. Today, I want to introduce you to Puritang's green vegetables. Puritang gets their ingredients straight from the high mountains of South Korea, and the omega oils are extracted from purslane and perilla seeds. It's 100% vegan. Now, personally, I've been using Omega for about 9 years, close to 10 years now. I've recently switched to Puritang for about a few weeks now. Here's why. We mostly get our Omegas from fish, right? But that's not the best case for everyone, especially there's the aftertaste. It might not be suitable for vegetarians or vegan. So the most important part, right, we often forget is the actual concentration for Omegas. Puritang soft gels have a much higher content for Omega 3, 6, 7, and 9 than many of the brands out there. And some say that they notice there's less hair loss, more energy, lower cholesterol levels, and overall improved health. I think the best part for me is the lack of inflammation or the reduction of inflammation. Other brands also, they use this high heat method to extract the oil, which in turn creates a lot of harmful byproducts. Puritang's green vegetable is done using a patented method of supercritical carbon dioxide low temperature extraction. So it preserves the natural properties and maintains high purities. First of its kind. So get it for yourself or as a gift to your loved ones ahead of the holiday season. Use my code DZ2023 and you can receive free shipping globally. Check out my link in the description and comment today.
And this man posts about entering Senegal, and as a Chinese passport holder, he experienced what was called the entry tax. Essentially, let's just say he was pulled into a dark room and he was threatened. Either you pay or, well, things are going to happen to you. This video in Egypt, according to the person filming, says that there's a special lane for Chinese passport holders, which they need to have all sorts of different things like extra questioning, whether you have a return ticket or not, hotel, etc., all of those things, right? So he says that they don't trust the Chinese people. Also, if you remember, during the very early days of Ukraine-Russia war, Chinese people living in Ukraine had a very difficult time getting the embassy to get a plane here to take them home. And in fact, the Ukraine Chinese embassy was telling them things like, you got to first show your passport, display the flag, so when the Russians come, they won't take you because, China and Russia. And then later on, they're like, don't show your flag because there were some, when they were trying to evacuate, somebody got injured. So yeah, so much for having your passport being so strong, right? And also here is Russia, actually in Russia, bullying Chinese students. So on October 14th in Russia, several Chinese students were stopped by two Russians on their way back to the dormitory, asked them to show their passports. Now, these two Russians didn't show their identification or whether they were police or somebody, law enforcement. And when the students asked about their identity, they basically just pepper sprayed them, beat them up, and so the students were injured to different degrees. What happened to your no limit partnership with Russia? I thought you guys were supposed to be like brothers in arms. And here's another movie. This one also shows the scene where apparently the Chinese passport is like the talisman to ward off all evil. So it's intentional that the Chinese government would allow this type of propaganda to manifest and to take control of what essentially is trying to brainwash people into thinking that China is so strong. How great their passport is. It must represent how strong China is. So in reality, though, I don't really think anybody will go out and use their Chinese passport to try to use that as, like a special talisman or like a cross, you can ward off ghosts or something like that. Because in reality, everybody knows it's not as powerful as it's being portrayed. And so ultimately, it's a failed propaganda, but it's one that seems to, even the CCP thinks will work somehow.